Swayam Upakaramayam Vadati Swavadatikam Namam Vishnupada Krishabhasa Buddhale Shimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachayane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pasatari Shatari Vanchakapa Tuvasa Kripa Sanvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Bevor wir anfangen, welche Sprache soll ich sprechen, Deutsch oder Englisch? Who cannot understand German? 2. Und wer kann nicht, nee. Yes. Und wer kann nicht Englisch verstehen? Da war eine Mataji, die wollte eigentlich zumindest zum Seminar übersetzen. Wie hieß sie? Ja. Ja, aber sie ist nicht hier. Ich hatte Devi Mataji gebeten, dass sie heute Morgen schon kommt. Also es sieht so aus, dass wir russische Übersetzung brauchen, denn Englisch. And where are you from?
I'm from Iran.
Okay, so then Russian translation wouldn't be of much help to you. So, and wer nochmal kann kein Englisch verstehen? Also, dann machen wir es doch auf Englisch, das ist mir auch sehr recht, denn ich kann mich besser ausdrücken auf Englisch. Ich spreche heutzutage nicht mehr so viel Deutsch. Das ist mir sogar sehr lieb. Ja, gut, also dann machen wir es doch auf Englisch. Ne? Denn mit Englisch kommt ja jeder klar. Can you understand some English? Something. Und da ist niemand, der auf Russisch für dich übersetzen kann. Ha?
Dafür reicht es nicht mehr.
Ich wusste gar nicht, dass du überhaupt Russisch sprichst.
Ich bin in der DDR aufgewachsen.
Ah, okay. Ach ja, Sister, ist ja interessant. Ja, also. Well, I mean, my English is very simple, you know, because it's foreign language also for me. I don't use any exotic American words. I'm not mumbling and swallowing half the sentence like many Americans do. So you may understand quite something. Okay. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, a few pretty juicy verses in purport. I couldn't help but smiling to myself. Here I am again, I'm getting stuck with these women's topics. Okay, good. All right. So we're reading Canto 8, Chapter 9, starting off from verse 5, and we have there verse number 9. So there's quite a few verses which have no purport. Yeah, so. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from text 5 onwards, And I will just read the translations, and then verse 9 we do the Sanskrit and so on. So, text 5 translation. O beautiful girl with beautiful eyebrows, certainly Providence by his causeless mercy has sent you to please the senses and minds of all of us. Is this not a fact? So maybe for those who may not know exactly where we are here in the Bhagavatam. So the previous chapter was called Churning of the Milk Ocean. So there we had the demigods and the demons churning the milk ocean. And first a pot of poison was coming out, right? And then Lord Shiva drank that poison. So, and then there was more churning going on. And then all kinds of favorable items came. You know, like the Surabi cow and Kaustubha jewel and what else did we have? Parijata flower and so many things. So, and they were distributed for different personalities. And also then a partial incarnation of the Lord appeared, Dhanvantari, and he came with a pot of nectar. So, and then the demons snatched that pot of nectar, and as it usually goes, they were fighting over it, right? So, and then Mohini Murti, the Lord in the form of a female form, appeared to be the mediator. Yes, to be the mediator in the whole thing. So, and here now the demons are addressing her. You know, they're all completely enamored and attracted by her beautiful form, and they are addressing her. Oh, by providence, by the Lord's arrangement, you must have appeared here, and yeah, please help us out and help us to settle this dispute over the pot of nectar. So, verse number 6. Let's continue. Translation. We are now all engaged in enmity among ourselves because of this one subject matter, the container of nectar. Although we have been born in the same family, we are becoming increasingly inimical. O thin-waisted woman, who are so beautiful in your prestigious position, we therefore request you to favor us by settling our dispute. Yeah, so this is how it usually goes. Demons have only their personal interest, so, and then there is some fighting going on, even though they're all from the same family. I guess we also experience this in our physical family and in the family of devotees amongst god brothers, god sisters. You know, there's also often some disputes going on. So Prabhupada gives a short purport. The demons understood that the beautiful woman had attracted the attention of them all. Therefore, they unanimously requested her to become the, how do you pronounce this? Arbiter. It says arbiter.
Oui.
Arbiter, here.
Arbiter, yeah.
Arbiter, okay. Not one of the words of my vocabulary. Arbiter, to settle their dispute. So now, text 7. All of us, both demigods and demons, have been born of the same father, Kashyapa, and thus we are related as brothers. But now we are exhibiting our personal prowess in dissension. Therefore, we request you to settle our dispute and divide the nectar equally among us. Is she the lady who could translate possibly? No, okay. So then, no purport, let's move on to verse 8. Having thus been requested by the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a beautiful woman, began to smile. Looking at them with attractive feminine gestures, she spoke as follows. So now we have text 9. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Katam Kasyapadayada Pumsaryamayi Sangata Vishwasam Pandita Toditato Kaminishu Najatiyahi Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Katam Kasyapadayada Pumsayamayi Sagata Sangata Vishwasam Pandito Datu Kaminishu Nayatihi. Somebody wants to chant, please.
Shri Bhagavano Vacha
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Tam Kasyapadayita Pushcharyam Mai Sangataha Vishwasam Pandito Jatu Kaminishu Nayati Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Bhagavanu Vacha Ladies.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha,
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Sankasya Padaya, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Sankasya Padaya,
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Mohini Murti, said, Katam, how is it so? Kashyapadayada, you are all descendants of Kashyapa Muni. Pumsalyam, unto a prostitute who agitates the minds of men. Mai, unto me. Sangata, you come in my association. Vishwasam, faith. Pandita, those who are learned. Jatu, at any time. Kaminishu, unto a woman. No, never. Yati takes place. He indeed. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Mohini, told the demons, O sons of Kashyapa Muni, I am only a prostitute. How is it that you have so much faith in me? A learned person never puts his faith in a woman. So she is teasing and provoking them. Very clever, since she is nobody else but the Lord himself. So now we have the juicy purport. Chanakya Pandit, the great politician and moral instructor, said, Vishvaso naiva kartavya shishu raja kuleshu cha. Never put your faith in a woman or a politician. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was pretending to be a woman, warned the demons against putting so much faith in her, for she had appeared as an attractive woman, ultimately to cheat them, indirectly disclosing the purpose for which she had appeared before them. She said to the sons of Kashyapa, How is this? You were all born of a great rishi, yet you're putting your faith in a woman who is loitering here and there like a prostitute, unprotected by father or husband. Women in general should not be trusted, and what to speak of a woman loitering like a prostitute. The word kamini is significant in this connection. Women, especially beautiful young women, invoke the dormant lusty desires of a man. Therefore, according to Manu Samhita, every woman should be protected either by her husband, by her father, or by her grown sons. Without such protection, a woman will be exploited. Indeed, women like to be exploited by men. God. As soon as a woman is exploited by a man, she becomes a common prostitute. This is explained by Mohini Murti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, I have to say, these verses, Narayani Mataji was supposed to give lecture on this, but she chose her own verses, and yesterday at Prasadam I met her and I said, Oh Mataji, I wish you had talked on these verses. No, you were the right person. So yes, here I am, what can I say? And I remember once I was speaking to a spiritual master, a sannyasi initiating guru, about the women's topics, and he was saying, well, if I have a verse where some strong statements on women are, I don't even talk about it. I change the topic. And yeah, I was a little disappointed to hear that, because this is Prabhupada speaking, and we have to understand what Prabhupada is saying and why he is saying these things. And we want to develop faith in Prabhupada's words, Just to say, I changed the topic, no. It's of course the easy way out, but no, I'm not taking that way out. So let us begin by remembering that we women have been given a very powerful energy, a very powerful Shakti. Woman's energy, much more powerful than a man's energy. If a woman likes, she can make any man become weak in his knees and falling down, But a man doesn't have that powerful energy unless he's Krishna himself. And so, depending on how we use that energy, there's so many nice statements throughout the Bhagavatam that we women are meant to be the power of inspiration to men. We are meant to be the auspicious source of energy to men. A woman can bring the very best out of a man, materially and spiritually. But if she uses that Shakti, she can either use the Shakti following in Lakshmi Devi's footsteps and be the goddess of fortune, the empowerment, the energy for higher achievements, or she can follow in Durga Devi's footsteps and just bewilder the whole world, yes. So we women are given that energy, and we can empower a man or we can ruin his life completely. I've seen it. And it's interesting that even our modern psychologists, they recognize this fact that a woman brings the best out of a man and channels his masculine energy in an uplifting way. A woman makes a man decent, that he behaves decently. And there's even statistics that most criminal men, who are into violence, drugs, so many things, they're all unmarried. Most of them. Because if a man has a wife, family, then that channels his energy in the right direction, being responsible, dutiful. But if that is not there, then very easily his male nature goes in a destructive way. And I've even seen it, even amongst us, our devotees, that if a man is, I'm not talking about anybody here, but I know a few cases where a man is for too long alone without a woman, and he gets into all kinds of weird things and weird association and does things he shouldn't be doing and talks all about these lusty affairs with other men and all this kind of things. They sneak in very easily, maybe not by everybody here or something. But yeah, I've seen it, that I thought, okay, here we go, this person needs a wife to, stay on a civilized and cultured and level, yeah. So that's the effect of woman, So Krishna has really devised a perfect system how both really complement each other, And we women need the protection of a man, but a man also, as a rule, unless he is super Brahminical, a man needs that feminine energy, and that empowers and inspires him to be dutiful, So it's a perfect arrangement, really. Yes. Yes. So now I thought, let me go through these heavy statements here and try and comment a little bit on it. Because first of all, we have here Chanaka Pandit, never put your faith in a woman or in a politician. So, and women cannot be trusted, So, well, I'm hoping I'm not interpreting Prabhupada's words here too much. But it is also coming up in the purport, the importance of woman being protected, by the father, by a husband, by a son. So I dare say this mainly goes to woman not being protected, that, because she's not protected, then very easily she can also be misled. Because another thing we have to remember, that we women have a more emotional nature. And that's given by Krishna, so we can be good mothers and caregivers. We are the relationship managers, For the man, the main satisfaction comes from their achievements, because they are meant to move things forward, and we women our main satisfaction comes from the relationships, because we are meant to be the balancing, harmonizing force. So that we can be good, balancers and caregivers and mothers. We have a more emotional nature that inspires us to play the role of mother. Otherwise, who would want to be a mother if it wasn't for that, So, and the emotional nature easily clouds our vision, makes it foggy. I'm sure we women all have that experience, that sometimes we overreact, we panic, we jump to conclusions, we imagine so many things, so, well, I consider myself not that emotional like many other women, but still, I know, so often I jump to conclusions and panic and overreact. And I smile to myself, here we go, the female nature, So I'm also not free of this, definitely not. I can immediately detect it, So, and this makes us, well, I dare say this is the reason why Chanukya Pandit says we cannot be trusted, because very easily the emotions get into our way, and then one day we go along with this, and then hang on, now like that, and so on, And that's why we need that protection of a woman, of a man, And that's why also there's these strong words in the Bhagavatam that women are less intelligent. Same thing, because often our intelligence gets foggy because of the emotional nature. But then we have very good intuitive intelligence, which men don't have, because that's what we need for serving as a mother. We have that intuition. A mother knows exactly why the baby is crying. The father has no clue. He doesn't have that intuition. And it's not only in regards to family, but we women are often more intuitively intelligent, and we can pick up on things, and we are better matchmakers, and because for all these activities you need some good intuition, whereas men don't have that, And a woman can also switch from emotional intelligence to rational intelligence very easily, because that's what we need as a mother. She has to have emotional intelligence, but also rational intelligence. But interestingly, a man cannot switch, because he is meant to defend, fight the tiger, so he can't switch, or fight in the war or whatever, so he can't switch so easily from rational to emotional. He should not. Otherwise, on the battlefield, he gets all emotional, So in other words, if a man is caught on the central platform, like attracted by a woman, he's willing to ruin his whole career and everything just for the sake of a woman, Whereas a woman can pull out and say, hang on, what am I doing here? I've got a husband and kids, forget it. She can pull out, but a man cannot. So, in many ways, we women are actually superior to the men. In many ways. So Krishna puts exactly the right natures and qualities into the male and to the female body, so that they can play the roles which they're meant to play. So, and that's why, and here Mohini Murti is also elaborating on that, especially a woman who is loitering on the street, who is not protected, who is a prostitute. How can you trust such a woman? So this statement that a woman cannot be trusted, see, all of Prabhupada's statements, we have to understand them a little more deeper. And we have to understand Prabhupada's mood, how and with which intention and mood he is saying these things. So it doesn't mean it's a sweeping statement, no woman in ISKCON can be trusted. No, oh God, you know, I mean, do we know Prabhupada's mood a little bit or not, you know? So if we come to such conclusions, this would simply be naive and yeah, not deeply understanding Prabhupada, you know? So of course, if a woman is a strictly practicing devotee and she is protected, you know, then, and she's mature, you know, then of course she can be trusted. You know, here at Galagadam, we have so many ladies who are running the show here for years. You know, so do we want to say now we cannot trust them or something? No, not like that. You know, not like that. Yes. But these things with emotional trait nature, they make us often more, one day this, one day that. And by the way, there's also men who have a more emotional nature, and then we come across the same thing, that one day he says this and the other day he says that. And he also cannot really be trusted, you know. We know that too. So yeah, we have to learn to discriminate a little bit and understand, you know. But the main point is that we need to be protected. So, and then also Prabhupada, well, let me also say this, because Prabhupada is speaking here. Women, especially beautiful young women, invoke the dormant lusty desires of a man. So, you know, we can also get offended about this or something. But no, there's nothing to be offended about, because one of our missions is also to bring color and beauty into life. You know, we women are meant to bring color and beauty into life. I mean, life would be boring if all human beings had a man's nature. Sorry. You know, so, and often we even see it with the colors. The men are usually not in such bright colors. It's more dark green and blue and black and gray or whatever, you know. They usually don't like to walk around in a pink coat or purple or something. Sometimes you have it, but usually not. So, but then when you look at the ladies, they usually like to be colorful, you know. And we are meant to be colorful, to bring color and beauty into life. So, and of course, a young girl, you know, she is very attractive, you know. So again, that's why she's meant to be protected, you know. So yeah, Krishna gives this powerful Shakti to a woman, ultimately to make the whole material world go around, you know, because this man-woman attraction is what ties us up here in the material world. So this is all part of Krishna's game he has set up here in the material world. You know? Yes. So yeah. And then what else do we have? Yes, and because we women are the power of inspiration, auspicious source of energy. I have experienced this in Bangladesh. That's why she is considered to be the jewel, you know. She's the valuable jewel, the diamond, because she's the backbone of whole humanity. She gives the inspiration to the man. There is one powerful, I think it is a letter, or is it a purport? I don't have it with me now. But where Prabhupada says, so woman is the energy and the man works hard. In a nutshell, that's Krishna's system. Woman is the energy, you know, to inspire him and empower him. And and the husband, he is the one who is meant to work hard, to provide for his auspicious source of energy, to keep her healthy and strong, so he is empowered, you know. Yes. So that's how they work together, you know. And and that's why, because she is understood to be so valuable, That's why she's carefully protected, because a jewel, you don't leave a jewel lying on the street there for somebody to come and steal it. You know? Yes. I mean, in Bangladesh and also in India, still in the rural areas, the young girls, they're always called jewel, diamond. You know? Yes, that's their attitude. So here in the West, we often have a very distorted understanding of women's position in spiritual culture. You know? Completely distorted. That we think, a woman has to be the slave and in the kitchen all her life, rolling to bodies. No, not like that. Whatever mother says goes. Yes, yes. And I experienced that in Bangladesh, not wanting to glorify myself, but I made quite a few revolutions there. You know, I brought the whole deity worship standard up. They had no clue what's Prabhupada's vision in deity worship. And I introduced Prabhupada's mood and book distribution. They had no clue. You know, they didn't know about Prabhupada marathon, nothing. You know, so, and I didn't need a managerial position for that. Devaki Mataji is our mother. That was enough. Everybody followed the mother. Whatever mother says goes. I didn't need a managerial position. No need. Just being mother, you know, and being genuine, wanting the boys to come up, that's enough. You can move mountains there as a mother. You know, that's spiritual culture, because mother is so honored, so respected. Even at prasadam time, you know, they didn't have me sit with the other ladies. I was sitting with a man, and my spot was first. I was sitting first in the row. And then came all the brahmachari regional secretaries and temple presidents. But mother comes first. That is the honor and respect mother is given in Vaishnava culture. Yeah. So I've experienced all these things, you know. But here in the West, we have a completely wrong understanding. You know, we think, oh, woman has to be in the back, she can't be in the front, and what's this? And oh God, you know, so cliche external understanding. You know, we don't understand Krishna's culture, the sweetness and beauty of Krishna's culture. Anyway, yeah, so because she is the valuable jewel, and the boys there, they were insisting of always protecting me. They wouldn't let me go anywhere by myself. You know, yeah, woman's protection is the highest principle. It's higher than the brahmachari principle. Yeah, that woman has to be protected. Even when I was going on a rickshaw, you know, in Bangladesh, they still have the bicycle rickshaws, where the seat is pretty narrow, you know. They would never let me go alone on these rickshaws. You know, I had a man there next to me. You know, in the beginning, Saffron Brahmachari sitting with me there on the thing. And then I said, well, just give me a boy in white at least, you know, it doesn't need to be in saffron. You know, yeah, I felt so uncomfortable because, you know, in the West we are trained differently. But yeah, all right, then some boy in white, you know, always coming with me everywhere and accompanying me. They wouldn't let me go anywhere by myself. You know? Yes. And it's a great honor for them. They're in ecstasy. Oh, I'm the hero who can protect Mataji. You know? Yes. So it's a whole different understanding. You know? Yes. So now, of course, the most challenging part here in the purport is where Prabhupada says, as soon as a woman is exploited by a man, she becomes a common prostitute. Oh no, hang on, before. Without such protection, a woman will be exploited. Indeed, women like to be exploited by men. So again, we have to understand what Prabhupada is trying to express. And I mean, the thought came to me like the term like has different ways how we use it in English. You know, this like can also mean have the tendency. For example, we say, you know, what do we say? Men sometimes like to get angry, you know, or what, you know. So the like is not that they enjoy getting angry or something, but they have that nature, that tendency. Or children like to make, you know, some crazy dramas or whatever, you know. It's not meaning that they enjoy liking to do this, but no, they have the tendency. But this statement of men like to be exploited by men made me remember this another strong statement from Prabhupada, which goes in the same direction, where he says women like to be raped. Right? This is in 425:41 in the Bhagavatam. And I came across an interesting understanding of His Holiness Satsvarupa Maharaj. This is in Biographies and Glorification of Srila Prabhupada, Gita Nagari Press. Prabhupada's Appreciation. Prabhupada Appreciation. That's the title of the book. Prabhupada Appreciation. Appreciating controversial teachings. I didn't even know I found it on the database. I haven't even read the whole chapter, but I do want to read it. So in there he says, what about women and rape? Now let me start here. Another warning in dealing with these controversial issues. Do not gloat. What's the meaning of gloat? Yeah, do not glow over a sensitive point.
Think that you're better or
So to be puffed up to... Okay. Do not gloat over a sensitive point to which you are insensitive. For example, women in Krishna consciousness have to deal with the statement, women like to be raped. This is a difficult passage and one that has to be carefully understood by everyone. Gloating means to laugh at the difficulty the statement causes most women. There we have the explanation of gloating. Everyone has some particular passage that they need explained very carefully. So what about women and rape? It would seem that Prabhupada does not mean rape in the sense of a violent sexual attack, such as is abhorrent, abhorred, A-B-H-O-R-R-E-D. Abhorred, what's that? Huh? Hatred, that's hated. So, yeah, once again, it would seem that Prabhupada does not mean rape in the sense of a violent sexual attack, such as is hated by all decent citizens. He seems to be using the word more to describe the sexual aggressiveness that a husband or paramour shows towards a woman when she is behaving as if she is not so inclined and her husband behaves forcefully with her, then that is what Prabhupada is referring to as rape. Okay, you know? So this gives a whole different understanding, you know? That sometimes I would describe it more that a woman likes to be conquered. You know? So as Satsvarup Maharaj here says maybe a woman behaves, maybe she's really not so inclined, or she does as if she is not inclined, to simply, inspire her husband to conquer her, And I mean, I don't want to get into details here, but in sexual exchanges, it can be sometimes a little violent with bites and scratches and this and that. So that it is a certain flavor and rasa there, Yeah, even amongst Radharani and Krishna, we also read these things. But anyway, what happens here is the perverted reflection, of course. So yes, so that is what Prabhupada is talking about, Not that women like to be, sexually attacked on the street and raped or something in the bush or something. No, of course not. Of course not. So, and in a similar way, I dare say, this woman likes to be exploited as to indeed, women like to be exploited by men. And also Prabhupada says, without such protection, a woman will be exploited. And then he says, yes, indeed, she likes to be exploited. The way I understand it is that if a woman is not protected, but she has that deep desire in the heart to be protected, to have a man on her side, so she makes herself available, and therefore she easily gets exploited, But she actually wants to be protected. That's her desire. And especially in a culture where sense gratification is the all in all, there's also another purport where Prabhupada says a woman, if she's not protected, she has to dress up in mini skirts and makeup just to entice a man. Here I am available, please take me, Yes, but then easily a man simply exploits her, enjoys her, and walks out, And that's how she gets into the whole thing of being exploited, But it's not that, I don't think Prabhupada means just in the same way how a woman doesn't enjoy rape. A woman also does not enjoy being exploited. No, but she gets into this whole thing because what can she do? It's a vicious circle. That's how the whole unchaste way of dressing comes about, because the women are not protected, meaning that the parents are not planting the seed in their hearts that they will find a nice husband for her, that she doesn't have to look herself. I've seen it in Bangladesh and Mayapur, where the girls are trained up like this, that don't you worry, we will find a nice husband. That keeps a woman very chaste and innocent. And she doesn't have to, reveal her bodily forms here just to attract a man, because she knows I'm protected. Somebody, my parents will find a nice man for me, a nice husband. So that makes her so innocent and pure and chaste, yes. And then she's even more attractive, because that's such an attractive feature in a woman. If she's actually chaste and innocent, then her innocent beauty really comes out, yes. So that's really one of the main aspects of women's protection, that we help the ladies to find a nice husband. And this is also one thing in ISKCON where we are not there yet. We haven't understood that, and we don't understand the importance of matchmaking. So that's my humble explanation, that she she wants to be conquered. She doesn't enjoy simply being exploited. And as Prabhupada says, then she becomes a prostitute. I mean, even prostitutes find some kind of protection there, of course completely perverted and material, but often these prostitutes, they have regular customers who take care of them, they give them all different gifts, and you know, so yeah, well, then they end up in this situation, you know, and yeah, but yeah, so what to do, you know. Yeah, so time is gradually coming to an end, but let me just conclude on that note before we ask for questions. Bhagavatam is full of strong statements, especially about the whole women's topic, you know, full of them. So now my question is, how much faith do we have in Prabhupada? You know? How much faith do we have in Prabhupada being the founder Acharya, Prabhupada's books being the law books for the next 10,000 years? Do we actually have that faith? Or don't we? And if we have that faith, if we understand Prabhupada's books as they are the law books for the whole world, not only for India and Bangladesh and Nepal or something, but also for America. You know, that's what it means, transcendental. That Prabhupada's books are the law books for the whole world, and they don't need to be adjusted for different parts of the world. No, that's what happened in Christianity. They were adjusting their law books, you know, in the name of reforming, modernizing, taking so many things out about reincarnation and karma. It was all in there, was all taken out. So, and that weakens the whole spiritual strength. It waters things down. You know, so do we have that faith that Prabhupada's books are the law books for the whole world? Do we have the faith that he is the founder Acharya, meaning that we have to imbibe his mood and make his mood our mood? You know, do we have that faith? If we have that faith, and that faith is completely necessary for Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement to survive, you know? Yes. So if we have that faith, and if we also have a little bit of humility, then there is no controversial topics, right? Then when we read this women like to be raped, then we simply say, okay, Prabhupada says it, he must have a reason for that. At this point, I can't quite understand it yet, but maybe the day will come when I get some insights, when I find some good explanations how Prabhupada means it, somebody who understands Prabhupada more than I do, you know. And then we simply park these so-called controversial topics and say, okay, Prabhupada says he must have a good reason, but I'm not there yet to understand it, you know? And that's it. No controversial topics. But if we don't have that faith, and we don't have the humility to say, I am not there yet to understand, then what happens? We start attacking Prabhupada, and it's happening more and more, you know, that Prabhupada, you know, he established a misogynistic movement, women-hating movement, suppressing women. I come across this all the time. Yes, my God, how can we talk about our dear Srila Prabhupada like this? Yes, how can we say these things? That he created a misogynistic movement, you know? Yes. And we had started attacking people who have already a little more transformed and understand Krishna's beautiful and sweet culture more. Then we start attacking them. And we commit offenses. And it creates so much dissension. I mean, this whole topic of women and culture is probably the most heated topic in the world and of its kind. Yes, my God, you know. So naturally, anybody who dares to talk about things, whew, you're in the fire here, you know. But somebody has to talk about these things, you know. Yes. So my conclusion is, you know, if we have unflinching faith in Prabhupada, and we have some little humility, then these things will not be controversial, you know. Then we simply, if we can't understand them and we haven't heard any deeper explanations of all these issues, then we will just say, okay, let me just park it. Prabhupada must have a good reason why he's saying that, you know, because Prabhupada knew, you know, my God, Prabhupada knew the modern mentality. There's so many purports where he says, in the modern world, this is considered as slavery of the women, but now it is not. You know, Prabhupada knows. Prabhupada knows. You know, yes, of course. Even 50 years ago, where things were not as degraded as they are now, even there, Prabhupada knew exactly the Western mentality. You know, and he put it so often in his purports that he understands, because he even knew that sooner or later devotees will attack him and say he's misogynistic and all that. You know, even that Prabhupada knew that this would come. So that's why he makes it clear in some of the purports that I know the Western mentality very well, and they will think this and this and this. You know, he says there's quite a few of them. You know, so Prabhupada knew, you know, so we have to have that faith in Prabhupada. Without faith in Prabhupada, there is no hope. There is no hope. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share. Do we have any questions for discussion, since it is such a juicy topic? Yes?
Hare Krishna, Devaki, thank you very much for your class. And I hope much that our success in spiritual life depends on how much faith we have in Srila Prabhupada. I would like to understand this deeper. Also, what does it mean in our daily life to have faith in Srila Prabhupada? How can I make this faith stronger?
Okay. Well, it's a big topic, but I can just share maybe one thing which wraps it up maybe in a nutshell. I once heard this wonderful explanation, what it means to be connected to Prabhupada. And the analogy is given of an electric wire. An electric wire has two components. There's the outside rubber part, there's the inside copper part. So obviously the inside copper part is the main part that transmits the electricity. So the outside rubber part is compared to the mere initiation. So I'm initiated, I'm connected to the Parampara and therefore to Prabhupada, you know. So that's the external part, which is also important, like it is important on the wire, you know. But it's only the external part, because we know so many disciples of Prabhupada or grand disciples, they were initiated, but where they are today. So obviously the mere initiation does not mean we are connected to Prabhupada. Very often we think this. We just want to be connected to the Parampara. Okay, let me get initiated. So now I'm connected. No, we are not. The internal copper part stands for feeling helplessly dependent on the mercy, on the guidance, on the blessings of Prabhupada. That is what it means to be connected. Yeah. Are we crying out to Prabhupada, please Prabhupada, help me, you know, to understand how to serve, how to please the devotees. And of course, if we feel some inspiration and instruction from Prabhupada, we should always verify with shiksha gurus, mentors, otherwise we can imagine so many things what Prabhupada tells us what we should be doing or something. But no, we verify that. But it's a very deep internal thing to be connected to Prabhupada. That, we don't want to make any decisions in our life without thinking, is this pleasing to Prabhupada? What would Prabhupada say about this? And it has to be serious, not just whimsical, yes, Prabhupada likes what I'm doing. No, it has to be based on really knowing Prabhupada's mood. Of course, the main way to connect with Prabhupada is by reading his books, trying to understand them deeply, taking up his mood, his spirit, his way, how he wanted to see things done. But, yeah, there should not be a single day in our life where we actually seriously turn to Prabhupada. And that can also be done in chanting. When we chant our japa, we can spend some time addressing Lord Nrsingadev to get rid of all our Hiranyakashipus in our heart. That's usually how I start. I start with that. So then from there we can go to our Guru, crying out for blessings, guidance, that we just want to capture one drop of how he was chanting or is chanting, serving, sacrificing himself. So then we can move over to Prabhupada, addressing him, crying out to him, to really give us some strength and empower us and bless us to actually do something for his mission here. Then we can go to Krishna, we can go to Radharani, begging her to be just a humble maidservant and her whole team there one day in the Goloka Vrindavan. So we can mix a whole potpourri there together and we can address Prabhupada. Yes, yes. Because often our practice is so external. We just go up there and quickly offer our flowers, boom, pay obeisances, done. But the heart is not involved. Yes. Yeah, so our relationship with Prabhupada, I've got a whole presentation on Prabhupada, what it means that he is the founder Acharya, It's a super important topic. Any other question about the whole women's thing?
What would be, so I understand that we women have Shakti and we should be protected, and the understanding is that we have more, that the men go out and they conquer the world and we stay home forever.
No, not stay home.
Not stay home.
You look at me. I'm going all over the planet.
I find it so, when I got married, I realized I wasn't so aware of it before marriage than after marriage. Is that my upbringing, and my mother raised me well. She raised me to say the atmosphere of the home is always dependent on the woman and so forth and so forth. But still, Western women are raised to go study, to go do this and this and this. And I find that part makes it difficult for me to be a wife.
Very true.
Because I mean, in comparison to some other women, I could say that I am slightly more submissive or more. I listen to my husband, hopefully, but it makes it difficult. So how would you say, what can we do? Because it feels like that entrance into our own Shakti, we lose that when we.
Very true. Well, that's what we call the materialistic conditioning, and we don't want to stay as we are. We want to transform, That's what the whole process of bhakti is all about. We have to transform and get rid of this conditioning, whatever it may be. So it's a whole transformational journey. And this transformation can only be inspired. It cannot be imposed on people. That's why I never approach this whole woman's topic of saying what a woman should do and cannot do. No, not like that. We cannot impose these things. A woman should be at home. A woman should do this. No, not like that. We simply have to understand Krishna's system. We have to get some education, that we understand how Krishna, and I find it very fascinating to discover these things. They're so subtle, how Krishna puts the right moods and qualities and mindset into the man's and woman's body, just so they're meant to play the roles they're meant to play, And the main and foremost entity which does not like spiritual culture is the false ego. Nothing else. The false ego rebelled. No, this is false ego, let's be clear on it. Yes, yes. So in false ego, if we want to ever go back to Goloka Vrindavan, we have to transform it into the real ego. Jiva Svabhora Krishna Nityadas. I'm simply a humble servant. False ego, a whole big topic. Yes. So knowledge education is the key. See, I'm also coming from Germany. I also had this conditioning. When I joined in Australia as a brahmacharini, I was the one who made all the reforms, the revolutions, that the women can be in the front and the women can do the Mangaladi puja, even if there's 30 brahmacharis right in front and all this. Until then, that was in 85. The women were not doing Mangaladi when there's 30, 40 brahmacharis there, because, the bodily attractive beauty of a woman distracts the men, and then they look at her instead of the ladies, So that's how I joined. I was the one who made all the equality revolutions there in Sydney, in the brahmachari ashram in the temple, So, and only because I spent so much time preaching in Bangladesh, over 25 years, that's why I learned all these things. Yes, it took me so many years, and still I'm not finished learning and transforming. Yeah. So, and that's what inspired me. Yes, we have to have courses, we have to have education, because not everybody can spend so much time in midst of a culture where things are still going according to Krishna's system, Yes. And then you start realizing, okay, this is how civilized human life is meant to be lived. I mean, my whole worldview got put upside down there over 25 years, Now I'm simply trying to share, And I mean, just in case there's somebody here who still doesn't know, I do have a whole book about this woman's topic. Spiritual Culture, Krishna's Divine System. It's also there in Russian language. Yeah. Especially for the Ukrainian devotees, because I was so involved there preaching in Ukraine for 25 years. And I have so many more books. Today I just bought these two because it's the whole women's topic. So whatever I told this morning is in this book, and so much more in there, so much more, very helpful to understand. I dare say any woman who wants to have harmonious relationships with men in her life should read this. Even not only in marriage, even at work, in the office, or in the devotee community, we have to learn the man's nature. And I mean, when the men read this book, they always love it. They always say, oh, finally, somebody understands how a man's heart is ticking. Finally, they always really like it. So we have to know how a man's heart is ticking, and how to help him to come to his very best level of performance. We women have that Shakti. But because of the whole equality, that's why the women now compete with the men. They rather want to be the hero themselves than making him the hero. And that's why the men in Kali Yuga are becoming so irresponsible and, sorry to say, useless. Because we women don't empower them. They need that Shakti. Yes. And I can clearly see it. I travel all over the world. I just came back from Kenya and from Mauritius and so many countries. So in that part of the world, they're still more traditional. The men are responsible. They happily do their duty of maintaining the family and protecting and buying all nice gifts and all the decorations and beautiful saris and all what a woman likes to have, you know. But then you come here to the West, America even worse, but Germany also, you see, it's all upside down. And the men don't even know what a woman likes and how to care for her and give her the emotional support. It's all lost, you know. Yeah. And the men are often all wimpy and lethargic and undecisive, and they're always afraid that the woman will get on his case or just see, I told you so, why didn't you do it like that? That's one of the most painful things for men, to hear these things from a woman. You know, why did you do it like that? Oh, I told you, my God, and you know, you should have done like this. This is like 1,000 knives into a man's heart. And then rather tolerating that, you know, that he may do the wrong thing, he just lets her do it. Okay, you know better, you just do it, you know. So he takes more and more the back seat because he doesn't want his wife to get on his case all the time. And that's why the men become more and more wimpy and useless and irresponsible. And they lose that heroic nature of protecting a woman. So then he becomes exploitative, you know, towards her. Oh, it's a whole topic. So if any of you would like to get a book, it's only 10 euros. I mean, it's what you pay for a pizza or something, you know. So it's worth it, you know. And let me also announce tonight, 5 o'clock, we start with our topic of meeting death with joy. 5 to 6:30 tonight, then 7 is the Friday evening kirtan, and then tomorrow we have 11 to 1:30, then 4 to 6:30, and one more time on Sunday, 8 to 10. It's interesting topic. Don't think it's, oh, I know, I'm not afraid of death. No, I'm giving a whole systematic thing on death, what happens on the subtle levels, how to prepare, how to support others, some elements of Sterbehilfe. This is very important. And also a little bit of the Vanaprastha ashram, because that's a topic unknown. And people don't know and plan for this, but the Vanaprastha ashram is meant to get us there, that we're meeting death with joy. Yeah. So I'm putting a little bit of everything on this, and I have a book on this topic too. It's the Vanaprastha ashram, subtitle, Meeting Death with Joy. Yes, please get yourself some books. So I will have all books tonight at 5 o'clock on the table. Yeah, so please come back, tell your friends. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hare Krishna. Jai Mata.